Group 6. The members are Kurniawan Aji and Rizka Aulia.
Sentence pattern. This chapter discusses the ways in which words can be linked together to form larger units.
Linking words together.
Different languages use different devices for showing the relationship of one word to another. There are 3 points that help you understand about linking words together: word order, inflections, and function words.
The word order. The device used most frequently in English is word order. The large spider frightened our Matilda. Our Matilda frightened the large spider. The words themselves in these two sentences are identical. It is the word order which indicates who frightened whom and that it is the spider which is large, not our Matilda. Languages which rely heavily on word order are known as configurational languages.
The inflections. In a language such as Latin, word endings or inflections indicate the relationship between words. For example, take a look at this sentence. The word order is irrelevant. The sentence would still mean the same if the words were arranged quite differently, as in, the endings alone show that it was the spider which terrified Aunt Matilda, not the reverse, and that it is the spider, not Aunt Matilda, which is large. In linguistic terminology, Latin is a non-configurational language. Word order is not critical, though some word order preferences are found.
The function words, another common device used to some extent in both English and Latin, is the use of function words. These are words such as of, by, that, which indicate relationships between parts of the sentence. For example, our Matilda was terrified by a spider, the Queen of Sheba. I know that Penelope will come. Matilda owned by spider frightened is. There is some disagreement as to what count as a function words in English.
Constituent analysis.
Constituent analysis. Sentences are not simply random words strung together by means of various devices. For example, the large spider terrified on Matilda swims off Sheba by a car. Instead, English, like every other language, has a limited number of recurring sentence patterns.
In this sentence, the and the can be replaced by a single word such as Donald, it, without altering the basic sentence pattern. This suggests that these two words are closely linked and together constitute a single, larger component. Similarly, the words the and burglar go together, since they also could be replaced by a word such as Albert, him. So as a first stage, we have reduced a sentence with 5 original components down to 3 more basic ones. Of these 3 components, the final 2 could be replaced by a single word such as slept. We therefore conclude that they could be bracketed together as a single, larger component. The linguistic procedure which divides sentences into their component parts or constituents in this way is known as constituent analysis. The test of substitution is basic. to such an analysis, though the process is not always as straightforward as the example above.
3. Diagrams.
The successive layers of constituents which make up a sentence can be shown most clearly on a tree diagram, so-called because its branches resemble the branches of an upside-down tree. In a tree diagram, a basic sentence type at the top branches downwards in ever-increasing complexity.
The successive layers of constituents which make up a sentence can be shown most clearly on a tree diagram, so called because its branches resemble the branches of an upside-down tree. In a tree diagram, a basic sentence type at the top branches downwards in ever-increasing complexity.
Rewrite rules.
An alternative way of expressing the information found on a tree diagram is by means of rewrite rules. A rewrite rule is a replacement rule in which the symbol to the left of an arrow is replaced by an expanded form written to the right of the arrow. Subject, noun phrase, verb phrase means replace the symbol S by NP, VP. Verb phrase, verb, and noun phrase means replace the symbol FP by V and P. Noun phrase, determiner, nouns means replace the symbol NP by DN.
An alternative way of expressing the information found on a tree diagram is by means of rewrite rules. A rewrite rule is a replacement rule in which the symbol to the left of an arrow is replaced by an expanded from by an expanded form written to the right of the arrow. The first example means replace the symbol subject by oh, replace the symbol sentence by noun phrase and verb phrase. The second sentence, replace the symbol verb phrase by verb and noun phrase. The third, replace the symbol noun phrase by determiner and noun. The essential structure of the dog bit the burglar can therefore be summarized in just three rules. Subject, replaced by noun phrase and verb phrase. Verb phrase, replaced by verb and noun phrase. And noun phrase, replaced by determiner and noun. On a tree diagram, these three rules would appear as in the next picture. As we could see, the sentence is include noun phrase and verb phrase, followed by verb and noun phrase followed by determiner and noun.
These branching rules can then be supplemented by lexical substitution rules. Noun is dog and burglar, verb is bit, and determiner is the.
The great advantage of rewrite rules is that they are perfectly explicit. They do not leave anything to the imagination. Note, however, that the above rewrite rules could also have resulted in the sentence. For example, the burglar bit the dog. This does not matter, as the sequence is a perfectly good sentence of English.
Identifying constituents.
As we have seen, every sentence can be broken down into successive layers of constituents. However, not all sentences can be analyzed with as little trouble as "the dog beat the burglar." Consider the sentence. For example, "The mouse ran up the clock." How should this be analyzed? Should we break together on the assumption that these words could be replaced by a word such as climbed, or should we break together? One way of checking this is to construct sentences in which the original words occur in a different order. For example, "Up the clock ran the mouse." The mouse ran the clock up. These sentences suggest that the words "up the clock" should be brought together, since they can be moved as a chunk to the front of the sentence.
The sentence above must be analyzed differently from another superficially similar sentence. "The mouse ate up the cheese." We can show the difference by switching the sentence around. "Up the cheese at the mouse." Compare "Up the clock round the mouse." "The mouse ate the cheese up." Compare "The mouse ran the clock up." We may therefore analyze the second sentence as "The mouse ate up and the cheese."
Constituents behave in predictable ways, since languages ring the changes on a few recurring patterns. It is therefore possible to build up a store of specific tests for the presence of a particular constituent in a given language, as "up the clock" suggests. One test for a PP or preposition phrase, it means phrase containing a preposition, is that a preposition cannot immediately follow its noun phrase. Just as you cannot say, for example, "The mouse ran the clock up." So you cannot say, "Vanilla went the woods into," or "Doris swam the bridge under."
NP test.
English noun phrases recur in certain specificable positions. Some of the main places in which they occur are at the beginning of a sentence before the verb. "The cat ate the canary." The second, at the end of a sentence after the verb. For example, "The canary feared the cat." And the third, after by in a passive sentence. For example, "The canary was eaten by the cat." And the last one, after an auxiliary verb in questions. For example, "Did the cat eat the canary?"
If we find a phrase which we suspect might be a noun phrase, we can apply this and other tests. For example, consider the sentence below. Uncle Harry kicked the cat. Suddenly Harry kicked the cat. In order to find out whether the first two words in each sentence are a noun phrase, we can apply the NP test list below. At the beginning of a sentence before a verb, Uncle Harry kicked the cat. Suddenly Harry kicked the cat. At the end of a sentence after a verb, the cat scratched Uncle Harry. The cat scratched suddenly Harry. After by in a passive sentence, the cat was kicked by Uncle Harry. the cat was kicked by suddenly Harry. After an auxiliary verb in a question. Did Uncle Harry kick the cat? Did suddenly Harry kick the cat?
Adding in extra pattern.
Let us now add in some others. Consider the sentence, the dog slept in the bed. This has the same basic division into noun phrase, verb phrase, as the dog beat the burglar, but the structure of the verb phrase differs. The extra rewrite rules required for this are verb phrase, verb, prepositional phrase, prepositional phrase, prepositional, noun phrase.
Let us now consider another sentence. For example, the burglar put the duck in a sack. This differs from the previous structures discussed in that it is essential to have both a noun phrase and a prepositional phrase after the verb. So far then, we have three different rewrite rules for English verb phrase. For the first one, the duck bit the burglar. The duck slept. The duck slept in the bath. And the burglar put the duck in a sack. It would be useful to combine these three separate rules. And for the rewrite rules, we can see that sentence is replaced by noun phrase and verb phrase. For verb phrase can be replaced by verb, noun phrase, and prepositional phrase. And the noun phrase can be replaced by determiner, and noun. And the prepositional phrase is preposition and noun phrase. For the lexicon, we consider the burglar, duck, sack, bath. They all are nouns. And bit, slept, put are the verbs. The long dash indicates the place where the verb is inserted. So, long dash noun phrase says the verb in question must be followed by a noun phrase. And the and a is determiner and in is preposition. Of course, if more data had been considered, the rules and the lexicon would have to be complicated further. For example, if we had included a proper name such as Donald, the lexicon would have to specify which nouns are found with a determiner, as in the duck, a sack, and which not, as in Donald, not a Donald. However, we set out to write rules for the sentence patterns in question, and we have done this as economically as possible. Layers of branches.
The three diagrams we have considered so far have relatively few layers, but consider a sentence such as Maurice took a photograph of a platypus. There are an example that a triangle has been drawn.
Complex sentences.
In practice, however, many sentences have one or more sentence-like structures attached to them or inserted inside them. Consider, Archibald played tennis and Peter went fishing. Here we have two sub-sentences. of equal importance attached together to form a single one. This process is known as conjoining. However, conjoining is not the only process by which sentence-like structures are linked together. More often, subsidiary sentences are inserted into one main sentence. This is known as embedding.
The rumor that the dinosaur had escaped worried the public. In the theory, a sentence can have an indefinite number of sentences embedded in it, and the fact that the rumor that the dinosaur had escaped worried the public is not surprising. The simple sentence has two others embedded in it.
Verbs. The syntax meaning overlap.
Verbs straddle the gap between syntax and semantics. The structure surrounding them provides clues to their meaning. For example, the Wickwalk jipped. Here, the Wickwalk has clearly done something alone, maybe jumped, or he cubed, or another example. The Wickwalk grunched the mope. In this case, the Wickwalk has done something or other to something else. The nouns accompanying verbs display different semantic roles, or, in more recent terminology, thematic relations. From the word theme, the label sometimes given to a noun involved in an action, though not initiating it. As the example, the the snowball theme rolled down the hill. But how many different roles are there? Some are obvious. An agent initiates action, and a patient receives it. As the example, the dog, agent, chewed a bone, patient. This example shows the difficulty of deciding how many roles there are and which one is which. The overall aim is to specify a set of relations which can be used to describe any human language, and discussions continue.
Thank you. Does anyone have any question?